Alrighty, we're live. We're gonna wait a few minutes now and let a few people come in, and I'll play you a little. I got the guitar out today, and while we wait a few minutes, we'll play you a little tune or two maybe. Hello, Glenn Goodall and Micro Homesteaders. So I'll play you a few while we wait. We'll give them a few minutes to get in here, and we'll start talking and see what all happens. Hello, Jared Diaz and Haley M. And Glenn Goodall says, nice job on the stairs. I appreciate that. We worked pretty hard on them stairs, but we got most of it done in a day. I ain't got the rails finished yet, but I got them started. Started raining even harder, so I had to quit for a little while. So we'll start that back another day and get the rails on and the staining. Hello, Andy's Backyard and Shop. And hello, Mark Wilson. Thought I'd play a few tunes before we start, that way you kill a little time while people come. Alrighty, we got 14 people in here now. Hope everybody's had a good week and good weekend. Hello, Old School with a Modern Twist. And we've made it through another week, and we're another week closer to spring. Spring's just a day or two away, and we're ready for it. Although I think we're going to have some more cold weather here in the next day or two. And I think they're calling for a little chance of snow tomorrow even. So hopefully we don't get it, but you never know. Hello, Billy Eakers. I was going to tell y'all too, somebody asked me about the rhubarb this week, and I'll post a picture on our Facebook page, but the rhubarb is still, it's about that big, and the leaves is huge, and the snow didn't seem to affect it. Jared Diaz, the spring is tomorrow. It is, tomorrow is today. I'm a day behind this week. So, Andy's Backyard and Shop, same here. It ain't supposed to snow, but down around freezing next couple of days. Yeah, I don't know how much snow we're supposed to get, but I was hoping it was over with. Hello, Pratt's Greenhouse. There's 16 in here. We'll start our little talk in just a second. The video is froze up, I believe. Give me just a second, maybe I can get this video lined up. Something's happened here to our phone. Can you see me now? Alrighty, are we back? Can you see me now? Can you hear me and see me? Everybody left on me. Get back in here, y'all. We ain't done. Are we back? Are we back now? Hello, everybody. Looks good now. Alrighty. Hello, Kim. People get back in here. I think my phone connected to I have a, I don't know what you call it. It's like an internet booster. Picks up signal and boosts it. And sometimes my phone picks up the outside signal and only gives me like 1 bar of internet. So I think it had switched over on me and made me lag. So everybody's coming back in. We got 9 back. Alrighty, everybody's coming back, I believe. Alright, so one of the things I wanted to talk today about is, if you noticed the subject, it was called heirloom. And we're going to be talking about some heirloom seeds, and not just heirloom seeds, but heirloom, like tangible things like family heirlooms and stuff. Haley M says, is the P.O. box in the description so we can send some fan mail? Yes, somebody had asked me one time how to send me things, and that P.O. box is, you can, if you wanted to write us a letter or something, you can write it to that. I think it's P.O. Box 532, Inez, Kentucky 41224. And you can get a hold of us that way if you want to. If everybody says the video looks better now, so that's good. That's what we want. Let me put this guitar down and we'll get into it. Alright. I know if you do any kind of gardening or homesteading, well, you know that seeds is some of the most important thing that you have. And now there's so many hybrid seeds and stuff out there, you know, you can't save your seeds from them. And I was thinking today about how important it is that you save seeds and you plant seeds that's open pollinated, that you can, you know, grow year after year after year without having to buy new every year. And I had a few I was going to show you today that you might not have never seen before. And the first one I'm going to show you, this is my old time speckled field corn. And I don't think you can buy, it's kind of like a, people say it looks like an Indian corn kind of. But this is, if you ever grew like a hickory cane, whatever they call it. You know, it gets big, long ears and good for livestock. And for cornmeal, make hominy. It's kind of like that, but it's multicolored. You'll get ears that's striped, you'll get ears that's red, white. And this is a good heirloom corn. And you can save the seeds year after year. And one reason I brought this up, I think when we reach 2,000 subscribers, I'm going to send out a little gift box. And one lucky person will get some of my heirloom Appalachian speckled corn. So that's one thing that to be looking for. Haley M says, be expecting something from New Mexico. We sure appreciate that, and we'll keep a watch on the mailbox. Pratt's Greenhouse says, I raise a German Pink 400 tomato plant here at the greenhouse that is to die for. I much prefer the old heirlooms. Yeah, we grow all heirloom stuff now. When I first started gardening, I planted anything that would grow. I didn't care what it was. And I sold at farmers market a lot. And I used to grow like the Florida 47 tomatoes and just anything that looked red and pretty. But now, since I've got into more of a, you know, wanting to preserve for my family and stuff, Well, heirloom is very important to me. And I got a few more little seeds here I'll show you. And another thing I've been learning is that you know, you say you grow a whole garden full of tomatoes, and you save a seed from every tomato. Well, you take a chance, you know, that all of them could be cross-pollinated, and you could end up with a, you know, totally different kinds of what you started with. I seen in the Deep South Homestead's video, they was talking about that, and how you have to watch, you know, saving your seeds from your tomatoes and stuff, because they can cross-pollinate. And you know, I hadn't given it much thought before, but I mean, you can end up with something totally different. Here's some beans. I don't know if you can see them. They're a little pink striped fall bean, and these are only in Appalachia as far as I know. These are Roger Newsom fall beans, and I'll try to put some of these in our little goodie box whenever we reach 2,000 subscribers. And the reason I'm showing you these, if you want some good Appalachian seeds that was developed here in Appalachia and has been handed down for generation after generation, you need to go to this www.heirlooms.org, and that is the Sustainable Mountain Agriculture Center in Berea, Kentucky. If you can see it up right there. And that man's name is Bill Best, and he has a huge selection of heirloom seeds. And I keep all mine in the freezer. I keep them in these little bags and labeled. And you know, I've got all of them in little freezer bags, and I'll put all of them in the freezer. And every year I get out what I want to start. Andy's Backyard and Shops, that he knows where Berea, Kentucky is. His little sister went to college there. Yeah, that's a good college in Berea. That's a couple hours from us, but that Bill Best does a lot down there at Berea College. And also, April the 6th at Pike Central High School in Pike County, Kentucky, there's going to be the 6th, I think it's 6th annual Appalachian Seed Swap. And there'll be hundreds of people there with all kinds of heirloom seeds and giveaways. There's door prize. As soon as you come in, you get like a bag of rattlesnake beans and popcorn and all kinds of heirloom stuff right off the bat. And bring you some money and some seeds to trade. And come on down to Pikeville, Kentucky. April the 6th is the 6th annual Appalachian Seed Swap. John Hartley says, how long will they keep in the freezer? I'm not really sure how many years they'll keep, but I know I've got a great aunt that put some, I don't remember what variety they was, but put bean seeds in her freezer in a jar. And she had them in there for I think 20 years and got them out and planted them, and almost every one of them come up. So long as they're dried good and I think kept in the freezer, I think they'll keep for a long time. Hello, Homestead Tessie, and Be So Far, and anybody else we've missed. Well, we're glad you're watching. Our little plants, it's unbelievable how much they've grew, and I hadn't got them transplanted yet. Me and Lakin's waiting. We got some little pots coming that's about 5 or 6 inches deep, and we're going to be putting them in those this week. But I think they should be here this week anytime. So hope y'all enjoyed your week and got to get out in your garden a little bit or something. If y'all got the spring fever like I do. Yeah, Pratt's Greenhouse says that he hears it's best to keep them frozen, not to let them thaw. Just get out what you need and leave the rest in the freezer. Yeah, I just got this pack out just a few minutes ago, and they're going back in as soon as I get done with this video. What was the name of the fall beans? I'll show you again. They are called Roger Newsom fall beans. And these were developed in Floyd County, Kentucky. So I think this website here www.heirlooms.org. I believe that's probably the only place you can buy these seeds, and they're about $6, I think, for a pack this big. And I bought these off of Bill Best at the seed swap in last April. So if you come to Pikeville, Kentucky on April the 6th, he has tables full of all these Appalachian seeds. Hello, Sharon Mitchell from Pensacola, Florida. But these are, I plant these bean seeds I normally plant them in like June or so. I've already got my others planted normally when I plant these, and they grow just like kind of like any other bean pretty well. They vine up real big, and they get loaded down. And you just pick them about in the wads, and they get about, that big, probably 4 inches, probably 4 inches roundabout. And they get a big fat bean in it, and it's a real light pinky white with dark pink stripes in it. Really good bean. Also grow, which I ain't got none with me here to show you. I grow a rattlesnake bean, and they're my favorite probably because they get huge. Big old beans, and they're easy to put away, easy to string, easy to break. And we can them, we dehydrate them, make shuck beans out of them. I don't know if any of you all eat shuck beans or not, but we either put them on a string and hang them up, or we put them in the dehydrator. And but that's the best way to eat them right there. Put your big piece of fat back in there and cook them. And this year, I didn't plant none of these beans last year. I got these at the seed swap off an old man who's been saving these, he said, all his life. And these are an old-fashioned goose bean. And I got a pretty good little bag of them. And we're going to be planting a bunch of these, I think, and see how they turn out. I've never planted these yet. The Music Well says, I grow the rattlesnake beans, and I'm wanting to try the greasy grit beans. Now, the greasy beans is probably the best bean that you'll ever stick in your mouth. They're small, though. That's the only downfall about them. They're a little bitty. They're only about 3.5 inches long. There's a big greasy bean for the old-fashioned ones. And the ones I grow is a brown striped greasy bean. And they're just as slick. That's why they call them a greasy bean. They don't have no kind of little hair looking on them. They just look like they've been rubbed down with oil. And God, they are delicious. And they're little bitty though. And if you pick a bushel of greasy beans, then you sure picked something. But I got all kinds of heirloom seeds here. And if you're at the seed swap, look us up. Well, I'll be there. And I don't know if I'll have any seeds with me to swap, but I will sit and talk a minute and have a big old time. Kim Tripp says, I'll be there for the seed swap. Yeah, but it is a big time. Hundreds of people go. I don't know how many that is there. And then there's the butcher shop. I think they have a big barbecue wagon that comes in there, and they cook fresh barbecue and sandwiches. And there's workshops, seed saving workshops, all different. I don't know what all will be there this year, but I'll try to post a link on our Facebook page, and I'll try to get one for one of our videos. The date for the seed swap is April the 6th, I'm pretty sure. And it's at Pike Central High School. And it'll be a big time. I don't know how many people's expected to be there this year, but it was a big turnout last time. Andy's Backyard and Shops. I don't know if I'll be able to make it, but I'll sure try. But that'd be a long haul for you, Andy. But if you like heirloom seeds and stuff, I'm telling you, it's a place to be. Alright, another thing, while we're talking about heirlooms, me and Lakin was talking today about, we seen online somebody was having like an estate auction, like this old lady had passed away, and they were selling their whole farm estate. They were selling everything probably down to the toothbrush. I mean, everything they had. And I was thinking today, like, I've got all this stuff, all my tools. I got all my grandpa's tools, like you see this saw I'm going to talk about in a minute. And I was thinking, boy, it'd be a shame to have it work all your life and collect all these things. It's useful, and then you pass away, and they have to be sold. And so I've done told them whenever if something happens to me, I want all my antique tools and stuff donated to museums and historical society and stuff. And I don't want it just sold for $5 at a yard sale. I want it to go somewhere where it can be appreciated. And the reason is, this is one of my big things. And I've got a few examples I'm going to show you. Like my great-grandparents lived on this farm my family's been on this farm since the 1800s. And like I've got this jar out here is one of my great-grandmother's Atlas strong shoulder mason jars that she bought in the 1920s. And I've got a bunch of her. I've probably got a couple hundred of her jars and about all of her little things. And you just think of how many green beans and corn and whatever's been canned in these jars that's fed her family, fed my grandpa when he was a baby. And stuff like this is valuable to me. And I think if you have stuff from the past, well, you can look back on it and appreciate all the work that your family's put into, how things are now. And if it wasn't for, what they've done, that you probably wouldn't be here. Yeah, these are thick glass. These are tough jars. They don't call them strong shoulder for nothing. My grandma's old cellar, I've got it down here too. And it belongs to my cousin, but I've used it. And the whole smokehouse had fell in on it, and I got all these old jars out of it, and they was all piled up in a big pile. And a lot of them was broke, but I salvaged a bunch. And but you think about something as simple as a jar, how important it was to the old people. Spike in Canada says, love your accent and channel. Your home is turning out fantastic. I sure appreciate that. Alright, and another thing I was wanting to talk about too, on the heirlooms. Alright, right here is one of my grandpa's crosscut saws. And he passed away in 1949, and they hauled timber out of this holler, this whole place was cut of timber, and they farmed it. And they hauled the timber out on rafts. When the water come up on the river, well, they all got on the raft and put a big pile of sand in it and built a fire and cooked and rode that raft of logs all the way past Ashland to sell them, and then walked home. And you think of all the work it took to saw all them big logs with a crosscut saw and an axe. And now all we gotta do is go out to the building and grab us a chainsaw and jerk a lever, and buddy, we're fired up and ready to cut. So I keep everything. I've got all my grandpa's tools, and I keep them and look at them, and you can appreciate them if you can hang them up where you can look at them and say, my grandpa put a lot of work using that and sweating and blood, and that makes me appreciate what I've got now and how easy we got it, because we're everyone spoiled to death. We don't know how good we got it. I'll show you if I can get it to focus in here. Alright. The same person that had that saw there. I'm going to show you a picture of a bunch of his kids sitting on his old mule named Barney. And poor old mule was about to starve to death, but they was poor as whippoorwills. And now you see, that poor old mule was the only thing they had to work on this farm. And that hill right there is right in front of my house. That's the same hill. And I've got a bunch of his rigging right there. I've got old Barney's bridle, and I got his hames and stuff. But you think about having to go hook up that old thing right there and go plow the garden, or my grandma said have to load their laundry onto a sled and haul it up the creek to the waterfall to wash it. And now you think about now, just throw them in a washing machine, or we got it made, buddy. We don't know what work is till we. And right here, we children have it made too. I mean, my kids love going outside and playing outside. We're helping us do things, but I mean, kids used to have to do brute work. And like right here is my grandpa and a bunch of his, I think some of them's his cousins, but they're out hoeing and working in the garden. And he always said that, they worked all the time. And they didn't have no, they were off grid, buddy. Off grid homesteaders, but they didn't have no choice in it. That's just the way of life. That's how things was. And we're so blessed to have what we have now. And family heritage like that is big in my family and important to me. And Lakin's family, they have a deep heritage in this county. And Lakin's family, her great uncle still has their family home place that goes back to the 1800s as well. And that's actually how I met Lakin, as I worked as a farmhand for her great uncle on his farm. And I met her working on the farm up there. And her uncle still lives and farms in the same place that they have for, 200 years, pretty roundabout. And let's see. I'll show you one more picture. And then that's about all the pictures I got out. But I showed you this old jar right here. Well, this lady right here is the one who canned in all these jars. And that's her in 1939. And I've still got that old chair sitting behind her. And it still looks good. And but just the whole thing I want people to get out of this is, appreciate where you come from. Appreciate your heritage and all the work that's went into, who you are today and what your family went through to get there. And the old ways, like this saw. I mean, if you got your grandpa's saw, you ought to look at it every now and then and say, boy, my grandpa worked his butt off with that, and I got a chainsaw. So, well, here's one more thing I'll show you. I forgot I brought it in here. This is a hook that my grandpa that helped kill in the pig killing video. If y'all haven't watched the pig killing video, if you ain't squeamish about meat and blood a little bit, go check out the pig killing video. And this was one of his hooks that he used when he run a slaughterhouse. And we use these still, like when we put the pig in the scalding water. We use these to roll that pig around and to pull his head or feet up or whatever. Old school with a modern twist, so this is old school for sure. Old school is my favorite way of doing things. Now, and just because I got a chainsaw, every now and then I still break out like a old crosscut or axes or something. And I don't know, I enjoy working with old tools. Yeah, people panic. John Harley says people panic today if the power goes out. Oh yeah, but when the power goes out or the internet goes out, Lord, people think it's the end of time. And that's the time you ought to just huddle in with your family and, enjoy one another's company. And my grandma said, not my grandma, my great aunt, we asked her one time, said, what was it like in the Great Depression? And she said, we didn't know there was a depression. She said, it's about like any other day. So we was already poor. Anybody got any questions or anything so far? Mike Curry said he loved the hog killing videos. Yeah, I'm glad I got to put them on there. And of course, YouTube don't like the hog killing videos. They won't let me monetize them at all. I've tried, requesting a review of it or whatever. But, you make very little on these videos anyway. I mean, cents sometimes on one video. And anything to do with the butchering or anything, well, YouTube, you can't make a nickel off it. YouTube don't want you to know how to do this stuff. Micro Homesteader said, love the hog videos like going back in time. Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts about it is like I feel like, you're doing it the same way they would have done it 100 years ago. We have a few modern things we can use, I guess, the tractor and stuff, but even without the tractor, we could still do it easily. I mean, if you don't have something to lift, we'll just cut you 3 big long poles and bolt them together at the top. And I've seen them, they have hooks on like 2 of the legs, and they hook them in them pigs' legs, and they can just back the back pole up and raise him right off the ground. Pratt's Greenhouse says, just keep putting those videos out. It's very important. Yeah, it's unbelievably important that people can know how to do the old things and survive. I mean, if there was such a apocalypse happened, for say, and you couldn't get gas and you couldn't have electric and everything was out, well, you got to know how to do things by hand. I mean, even if you have a tractor and a chainsaw, I mean, I enjoy my tractor and everything, but I want to know how to do things besides with power tools and everything too. Because you never know if something happens there, you know. Or you may get hurt or something, you can't work, and you may be dirt poor. And you may have to do things the old-fashioned way to survive. I'm going to try to, whenever the weather gets nice and I can go outside more and do more videoing, I'm hoping to do a series on how to use these old tools. And we're going to do crosscut saw videos, broad axe videos, like how to hew out logs and stuff. And I'm going to show you how to take a log, cut it from when it's standing timber, and hew it out and cut a dovetail notch in it like you would for a cabin or a barn or something. And I do that sometimes for a Heritage Day we have here. But I mean, stuff like that's important to me. And I want to share all the things I can on YouTube so y'all can learn. Yeah, Haley M says people are willfully ignorant and don't want to learn how to do things without things like electricity. They act like the day will never come when they'll be without. Now that's true. People take for granted everything they got. They make a big money and just go out and live it up, and don't worry about tomorrow, and don't worry about, the threats of what could happen in this world. John Harley says now that he's getting older, the tractor and chainsaw makes life better. It sure does. And I mean, I love my tractor, my chainsaw, and I'm going to use it just as long as I'm able to and I can get gas for it. But I like being able to do both. That way, if a situation ever comes, and I can appreciate what the good things I have if I go back and do a few of the old ways every now and then too. Be so far, so that sounds good. And how to take care of the tools too, please. Yeah, that's one probably more important than knowing how to use them is knowing how to take care of them. Like I'll show you one example. Like this crosscut saw right here. You got to know how to sharpen these saws. You can't just stick a big file on them and go to town. You got to know how to sharpen them, and you got to know how to set the teeth on them. If these teeth ain't set, you can't cut nothing. You couldn't cut a stick of butter hardly with it. And they have, one tooth is stuck out this way and one that goes that way. And you got to know how to set them. They make tools that's for it. And my grandpa always said, when you have one set right, you should be able to put a sewing needle on the top and it run all the way down the teeth, all the way down the saw. And that's how you know if you got it set, the teeth set right. Don't want that thing to fall over and cut my head off right here on live YouTube. Knowledge, Be So Far says knowledge and skills likely way more valuable than paper money. Yeah, I would rather have a brain full of knowledge than have monetary money items. Another thing we're going to try to do, I said we're going to do like crosscut saw and hewing, and also like I've got a bunch of like horse-drawn plows and rigging, harness, and I'm going to show you some of that stuff and just kind of know the basics of it. That way, somebody might need to look back someday and say, well, that's helpful. You know, I know how to hook a swingle tree to a plow, or I mean, I may not plow with a horse or mule, but I got the stuff to do it if I need to. And I've got a blacksmith forge. We may try to get into that sometime. And that's a use. A forge is very handy if you're doing any kind of old school tool work or anything. Has anybody got any questions or anything so far? I think we've had a good chat so far today. I've enjoyed this. Old school with a modern twist says, I want to see how you work that garden. Soon as we get break in the weather and we start getting in the garden, I'm going to have everything I do in the garden will be on video here. B so far says, it seems like you have a lot of skills for someone so young. Well, ever since I've been a little child, I've been around my grandfather and stuff, and everything he was doing, I was doing. And that just absorbed it all like a sponge. I've always been interested in the old ways of stuff, and I've collected antique tools and stuff since I was a little boy. And I just didn't want to collect them. I want to know what they done and how to use them. Mike Carey says, what growing zone are you in? I think we are in growing zone 6B, I'm pretty sure. But I think it varies a little bit year to year. Sometimes I think it's maybe a 6A. And old school with a modern twist says, do you heal your plants up? Most of my plants I heal up. I heal my corn up. Of course I heal my potatoes up. And the tomatoes I have healed up, but most time now I've been trying to put a mulch around the tomatoes and stuff. And about anything I don't want to blow over or something, I heal it up. The corn especially, I have a lot of trouble with the wind blowing the corn down. It just comes right up this holler and it just twists it like a big, crop circle or something. How are my seedlings doing? I can't get to them right now from my guitar. I'd show you, but the tomatoes is about that big. They're going to be huge this year. And we're going to put them in, I think, 5x5 pots or 5x6 pots and transplant them real deep. And we'll have a video on that hopefully this week if everything turns out. And hopefully they'll have a good root system. Let's see. Do you have some music that you wrote? Micro Homesteader said. I ain't never wrote no music. The only thing, I made up a banjo tune one time. And I don't have it wrote down anywhere. I don't have it recorded. I just put it in my brain. And I don't write music. I don't know like all the notes and stuff. I took band once in middle school, but I don't remember all the notes. And I don't read the music. I just listen to it and play it. So that's about all I can do on that line. So I made up one song, and I think I used to call it Long Road to Jenkins. And that's only music writing, I guess you'd say, I've done. Can you get your grandfather to talk a bit? Old school with a modern twist says. We'll try to do an interview with him sometime. I'm sure he'd like it. He got a bunch of good stories. He was a fish and wildlife game warden here for about 30 years. And he was raised on a farm, when he was a boy, milking cows and raising tobacco and stuff. And he run a slaughterhouse in the 70s, killing pigs and cows for people. And so he's a vat of knowledge. So we'll try to interview him sometime. And I got some other friends. That's another series I'm going to try to do. I got so many ideas, I can't get it all done. But I know a lot of these old Appalachian men who, are just full of knowledge, and nobody really understands how valuable it is. And we're going to try to go talk to a few of them and capture on video some of their stories. Heirloom says, love to hear that song on the banjo sometime. I'll break it out and try to remember it and play it for you maybe next week or two. Hello, Christy Betts. Glad you're in here. Let's see. I missed one. I think said, "What's your favorite kind of tomato?" What's my family's favorite tomato? Says Pratt's Greenhouse. I think my wife's favorite is black creme and Cherokee purple. And now her all-time favorite is one that you can't buy the seeds for. Her grandpa always kept a variety that he called a yellow red heart, and they're similar to a hillbilly, something like that. It's got yellow on the outside with a little red, but these wasn't striped. They were just solid yellow outside and red inside, and that's her absolute favorite. But the seeds got lost down through the years, and we can't find them. And we have some that they thought was close to them, but they still ain't quite the same. So my wife's grandpa's yellow red hearts is her top favorite, and then Cherokee purple, black creme, and she likes a lot of them, but those are her top three, I would say. Christy Betts says, "Andy, you getting any bad weather?" Yeah, we seen that storm coming up along the coast there. I was worried about Andy there in deep south Homestead and all of them down around those places. It ain't got to us yet, but we're expecting some rain and snow, I think, tomorrow. Anybody else got any more questions so far? Our little biddies are doing good. I didn't bring them into the chat tonight, but we was out there earlier, and but they're really growing fast now. It's been a beautiful day here. It's been probably a little over 60 degrees, and I went out yesterday and I put up the stakes on our peas. The peas is popping up about that high out of the ground, and they're really looking good. The warmer weather should get them to growing. Pratt's Greenhouse says, "Buddy, I had those yellow red hearts you talked about up until about 2 years ago and let them get away from me." Oh, buddy, if you ever run across any again, well, you let us know and we'll buy them off anybody you can find them off of. My wife's been itching to have her true yellow red hearts back. Mike Curry says, "What kind of beans do you grow?" All right, our main kind of beans we grow is the number one is the rattlesnake beans, and they are our absolute favorite. They are heavy producers. They get big beans, easy to string. We can them, we dehydrate them, we do everything with them, and they produce all summer long. We pick bushels and bushels off of them, and they'll produce till frost just about if the bugs don't get them. And then our second favorite is probably the greasy beans. They're the little beans that I was talking about earlier. And then I grow some old-fashioned white half-runner beans, and let's see, I grow the Roger Newsom fall beans, and them's the main beans we grow. But we're going to be trying a couple different kinds this year. I've got some pink tip half-runners they're called, and I've got the goose beans, and I've got some called a bucket of beans. They're an old-fashioned white half-runner bean. So we're going to try some different kinds of beans this year as well. And I got some cornfield beans they're called. They're a brown bean, and they're not as big as a rattlesnake bean, but they're a pole bean. So that's the main kind of beans we grow. And they're all heirloom. And a lot of them, like the cornfield beans, my wife's uncle, he gave them to me, and his daddy grew them. And the ones I have, he grew, I think, in '97. But they're still good bean seeds. Kim Tripp says, "Have you ever had Danny corn or Grandpa corn? I'm planting them this year." I don't think you was in here when I showed you this corn I've got. But this is similar, I think, to the Danny corn. This is, I call it it's called, around here they call it old-fashioned speckled corn. So I call it just Appalachian speckled corn. And it gets some white ears, some red ears, and some ears is got these stripes. Let me see. I think this is, you can see there, got red stripes all in it. And then some of them will come out, pure red, white. But this has been, it's probably either the same variety or close to it. But here in Appalachia, we call it old time speckled corn. And they grow this. My neighbor's dad used to grow it for his cattle and mules and pigs, and I grow it just for the chickens and stuff. And I like grow it. It's beautiful corn. I plant the rattlesnake beans in it too. Let's see. Micro homesteaders. So do you grow a lot of squash? We grow quite a bit of squash. We grow several kinds. We grow like zucchini. We grow. Let's see. We grow zucchini, the yellow summer squash. I grow the white round scallop squash. We grow butternut squash. Now the butternut squash is my favorite, and I've only been growing it probably 3 years now, but we absolutely love the buffering. I mean, I got reading that. We love the butternut squash. It is buffering so bad here, Christy Betts says. Hopefully, I don't know if everybody can still see us good. Let's see. Have you got the cabin china end done yet? I'm not sure what that means there. Might carry the china end done yet. The butternut squash can take over a garden. I plant it, normally I do like the Three Sisters garden. I take and I plant my corn, and then when the corn gets up, yay high, about 8 inches tall, then I go back and I plant one bean seed or 2 bean seeds in every hill of corn, and I use an old-fashioned hand corn planter to pop them in beside each one. And normally that's right about the time I do my first good hoeing on my corn, and I'm thinning it out good and hoeing it up good. I'll plant my bean seeds in it, and then about every 10 foot I'll take and put a hill of butternut squash, and let them just grow in the bottom of the corn. Oh, chinking. Mike Carey says, have you got the chinking done on the cabin yet? I ain't got it done yet, but now that the weather is starting to warm up, I'm gonna go here in the next few weeks, hopefully, and buy all the material to do all the chinking of the cabin. It's been too cold I don't like to chink when it's cold outside like that, because I think it takes it so long to set up and stuff. Pratt's Greenhouses. We're in the southern tip of Ohio. And I've got a sister that lives up in Ohio, and I've been through there quite a bit. And no buffering on their end. Well, that's good. We had a little trouble there earlier. Jim Adams says, are you going turkey hunting this year? Yes, I sure am. Turkey hunting is one of my favorite pastimes in the spring. If you can see my hat, NWTF. I love turkey hunting. And actually, I swear, I think I heard one gobble back here on the hill the other day. I'm not 100% sure, but it sure caught my ear, and I thought I heard one gobble right a little after daylight. And I'm gonna try. I don't know how good it'll be at it, but I'm gonna try to film a little bit of the turkey hunt this year. I don't know if I can pull it off or not, but I'm gonna try to. We got turkeys everywhere up here. There's some logging roads up on the ridge behind me, and they logged it all year before last. And there's all this fresh grass and little water holes with tadpoles in them every spring, and the turkeys are eating it up the last few years. On the worst part, I have to walk straight up this big mountain behind me and then get down on there. But once you get up, that's the hardest part. The rest is, pretty easy if you stay on the ridge. Yeah, now last year I didn't have no luck turkey hunting. I got busy doing other things and only got to go a couple times. And then I went out to feed the chickens one morning, and I heard them turkeys a gobbling, sound like they was right up on the hill. And I went a flying in the house and grabbed my gear, and I said, I'm going turkey hunting. And I climbed. By the time I climbed to the top of this mountain and got me a spot and settled down, well, they'd hushed, of course, and they wasn't gobbling. And so I started sneaking around, like you do. And finally, I thought I seen something move, and I said, man, no, it was just the wind blowing. And I eased around a little curve, and there's a big gobbler standing there looking at me. And by the time I get my gun up, well, he done shot over the hill in a briar patch. So, no luck last year. The music well says he's too busy for that time of year to turkey hunt, but wouldn't miss deer season for anything. Now, I like the deer hunt a little bit, but I'd rather turkey hunt is eat. Turkey hunting and squirrel hunting is my favorite. Nell, I can't pronounce your last name. What was? Hello from Delaware. Love your channel. Hello to the wife and the kids. It's good to see you on here, and we appreciate you watching. All the way from Delaware. And Jim Adams says it can be frustrating for sure. It's turkey hunting. It's hard to outsmart a turkey. Turkeys can be so stupid but so smart. I mean, I've heard of turkeys, getting hit by raindrops on the head and looking up and drowning. But yet you can't sneak up on one. They can see the eyes bat and they're out of there. I'll tell you one little hunting story. Me and my dad was turkey hunting one time, and we had a decoy sitting out in front of us, and we sitting behind this old rotten log, and all you could see is about our heads. We sitting there with our gun up, waiting for a big gobbler to come through, and all of a sudden, here comes something running, and a big coyote come running by, grabbed that decoy, and was gone, buddy. Before we could have pulled the trigger, he was out of there, and we never did see it again. I mean, he was fast as greased lightning. Mike Carey says squirrel gravy is great. Oh, buddy, you can't beat squirrel and squirrel gravy with a big cat head biscuit. Ain't nothing better. Yeah, I love fried squirrel and squirrel stew. I like squirrel, but any way you can cook it. And rabbit's real good eating. And we talked last video about eating groundhog, and now that's a good eating animal too if you hunt any groundhog. Amy R says that was the toughest turkey that coyote ever ate. That's what I was thinking. When he left there, buddy, I said, well, he's going to be bad disappointed when he stops and finds out that that's just a rubbery styrofoam. We have a lot of coyotes around here. I don't know about where you all live, but now coyotes has infested this place. Especially on these coal strip jobs and stuff, there's coyotes all over. But there's some good laws in Kentucky about hunting coyotes. And they're pretty lenient on it now. We have a good coyote hunt. Yeah, Jared Diaz says squirrel tastes like the dark meat on chicken, but a little gamier. Yeah, that's true. And if you want to take some gamey flavor out of your wild game, soak it in buttermilk in your fridge overnight or so. And, that'll really help pull a lot of the gamey taste out of it. We've had squirrels everywhere the last few days here. Me and Lakin was sitting in the kitchen yesterday, I think, and there was 5 squirrels on the trees and on the hill out here eating. But I don't kill them if they're right around my house because I like to watch them, and I have little bird feeders and feed them and stuff. But now when they get out away from the house a couple 100 feet, they're fair game. It's game on then. Kim Tripp says coyotes got some of her chickens yesterday, and she's going coyote hunting. Yeah, buddy, coyotes, they'll wipe them out. And they'll kill dogs and everything. I mean, they get in a pack. You got to really watch your livestock for coyotes. Mike Carey says they're getting feral hogs out there in western Kentucky. Now, luckily, not that I know of, we haven't had any here in eastern Kentucky. I think there was a report of one, I think a couple counties over, but I've never had none around here. Sandy's Travel and Gardening Adventure says her dad loves squirrel hunting. Oh, squirrel hunting, that's one of my favorite. We're going to try to do some squirrel hunting videos too this year. And I love squirrel hunting because I like it because I can get out and walk around a lot. I love to walk in the woods. So that's what I like about squirrel hunting. I can get on one of these ridges and walk for miles. And I ain't got to sit still and hump up. I sit a while on this spot and then I can go on, sit a while on another spot. And if I feel like I want a challenge, I'll take a 22 rifle and do my squirrel hunting and shoot them in the head with a 22. And if I just want to get out there and get me a mess of them, I take my big double barrel shotgun. Old School with a Modern Twist says, you got them elk there. We have tons of elk here now. Martin County and Johnson, Floyd, and all the Knott County, all these surrounding counties, we have so many elk now, hundreds and hundreds of elk. And I think they said that eastern Kentucky has one of the biggest elk herds this side of the Mississippi River. And we've only had one, I think, get in the holler here where we live. And I don't know how it's kind of ventured off, but most of them is over on like these coal strip mines and stuff. There's herds of hundreds of them. I got some good pictures. I'll try to, if I can remember one day, I'll drive up by one of our airports close by. You can see a lot of elk out beside the road, and I'll try to go up there and do a little video for you sometime. Mike Carey says, do you ever get out and look for ginseng or any other kind of roots? Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to do in the late summer and early fall. I hunt a little bit of ginseng, and I've got a pretty good stand of it behind my place here. And I dig yellow root, bloodroot, rattleweed, several things I look for. Jared Diaz says he shoots his squirrels with the 22 too. Pulling the shot out's too difficult. It can be a mess if you shoot them and they get tons of that bird shot in them. Kim Tripp hasn't seen any elk where she lives yet. They're probably coming your way. They're spreading pretty good as far as I know. And they're beautiful too, fun to watch. Mike Carey says, what is rattleweed? Rattleweed, I don't know I think the technical name for it is called black cohosh. And I don't know what I think what I heard it's used for is like hormonal medicine. But I think it's called black cohosh, and we call it rattleweed. And it's because, on the top of it gets a real dry, rattly, like a seed pod in it when it dries out. And it gets big, tall, and gets big, round, bushy, flat-looking tops on it. And I've dug it up, chest high before. And we dig it up, and it's got a big old root on it. So you can dig, normally me and two of my friends can go out with our little mattocks, and then by, say, 1 or 2 o'clock in the day, we can have 120 pounds of rattleweed dug up. And you can sell it wet here. You just wash it, and wash it real good, and then leave it soaking wet in the bag. Take it, and you can sell it the same day. And it's only about $1 a pound, I think, or 60 cents a pound. But alrighty, Cynthia Stone says, get a mess of dry landfish before long. And now, buddy, we're looking forward to that. We love them morel mushrooms, and it won't be long they'll be popping out of the ground. Jared Diaz says, do you sell produce at the farmer's market, and do you need a certain certificate or anything? Yeah, usually. Sometimes I sell at the farmer's market, sometimes I don't. In the previous years now, I've sold at the farmer's market since I was 13 years old. And at our farmer's market, there's I sell at 2 of them, and one of them has more rules than others, but some of them, they want you to have like a micro-processing class if you like cutting greens or anything. But a lot of, if you're just selling like just regular vegetables, beans, corn, and stuff you just pick, we don't have to have any kind of certificate. But they have a class called Better Agriculture Practices, and they like you to take that just so you know how to handle things and keep you clean and stuff. And also, you can sell produce. And people pull over on the side of the road here all the time and have a whole truckload of corn and beans and stuff. And you can sell out in a heartbeat here. But they're pretty lenient, really. I mean, like our little market is pretty lenient. But now when you get into doing like value-added stuff, then you have to have a little more classes and certification. Neil says, have you and the family ever been to the Ark Encounter? Yes, we have been there. Right after it opened, my grandparents took us and the kids all down there, and we loved it. That was an amazing adventure right there. And you can spend the whole day there. It's amazing. Kim Tripp says, support your local farmer anyways. Yes, anything, and like if we don't grow it, if I need a vegetable or need something, we get it off to another local farmer that we know. Let's see. Jared Diaz is getting his home ready to sell and is going to be buying land. You have to keep us up to date whenever you do your transition, and we'll see how how you like it and stuff. We're excited for you. Christy Bett says there you have to have a peddler's license to sell. Now here they're pretty lenient and you don't have to have that. Old School with Modern Twist says, what county are you in? We're in Martin County. But about all our regulations here is fairly easy going. Mike Curry says, any good acres out there for sale? There's land all over the place for sale around here as far as I've seen online and stuff, but I don't know anything for sure real close by, but there's quite a bit of land out there around here. Jared Diaz is going to be redoing his bathroom and hardwood floors, and going to do a YouTube channel for that. That'd be good. People love videos on how to do things and remodeling, and that's I'm trying to do better on my videos of showing you how I do things. I'm bad to just jump in and do it and say, well, let's do a video on it. But I don't get in my head that people don't know everything that I know. So Lakin's trying to take her time with me and ask me questions like, what are you doing here? What are you doing there? How you doing this? Swingman says, you appear to be one of the most sincere people on YouTube. Don't ever change who you are, especially for the sake of money. I enjoy your channel. That is very sweet of you, and I appreciate that a lot. I always say I am who I am, wherever I am. So if I'm Jared here, the same one you'd see if you met me in town somewhere. And that's what I try to be on my YouTube channel. I don't try to be nothing that I ain't. And I don't lie on here and say, I do this and that. We're just a family and trying to just provide a little bit of our own food and live a kind of fairly simple life and not get caught up in all the worldly things. And I'm not off grid or nothing. I ain't no extremist or nothing, but we try to live a wholesome life. And that's what I enjoy. Just living simple and enjoying what the good Lord give me here on this earth. And He give us the land, and we need to take care of it and work it. And I appreciate y'all for liking the channel and stuff. We really appreciate all the support. Old School and Modern Twist, his mother's from Breathitt County. I've been to Breathitt County a couple times. I went to a 4-H camp there one time, I believe. And Mike Carey says, are you in the mountains or the foothills? I would say we're in the mountains. Because, around here, like, you go up one side of the mountain and right back down, there's a creek. And you go up another mountain, you go down, there's a creek. I mean, it's just all mountains. And the only place we have flatlands is like right along where the river is or something, you know, or a big creek. You'll have some flat area, and you might get, you know, a couple acres of flat ground at a time. But like where I live, I'm one bench from the ridge on the mountain, and like I have some flats. We call them a bench. We have some benches here that's pretty flat, and then one or two of my places I needed flat. Well, I had to take a bulldozer and kind of work it out and flatten it out. Let's see. Amy R., do you think Lakin would do videos on cooking and canning? I would say she'll do some canning videos for sure, and she might do some cooking videos if she has time. But she's got her hands full. She was a busy woman taking care of the kids, and she works really hard. And but now canning, we'll for sure do some canning videos and how we do that. And we're still learning a lot on the canning ourselves. We've learned new stuff every year. Let's see. Nell says she prays our channel will grow and more subscribers. We really appreciate that. And our channel has really been growing pretty fast. We've had, I think, in the last week, we've had about 50 new subscribers. So we enjoy talking to everybody, and we get a lot of good feedback from y'all. And I've learned a lot of stuff from you all as well as the other channels that I watch. And we don't ever get any negative comments, and I appreciate that. But now, if somebody sees something we're doing wrong or don't agree with something, well, you know, that's a good thing about YouTube. You have the freedom to speak up and say what you want to say. Yeah, I don't know what our altitude is right here, but I mean, the next county over from us, around Pike County, now their mountains are even taller than ours, but they're still pretty steep. We say they're steep as a mule's face. Well, you all seen, if you watched our video that I posted today about the building the stairs, you'll see some of the roads we live on, and they're pretty windy and up and down. Anybody else got any more questions or anything? We've been on here about an hour, and I'll play you a few guitar tunes. Maybe I'll get the guitar out, and you all think up a few questions or comments you'd like to talk about. Old school with a modern twist, that he likes the old sayings. Yeah, I love old sayings and stories and stuff. I got a ton of them, but I can't never think of them when I want to think of them. Alright, I'm going to play you this song. Alright, Jared Diaz, how do you keep your water line feeding into your house from freezing? Well, I had trouble with that this past year. Let's see. My water line, I tried to get it about 2 foot deep, but I wish I could have got it 3, but the ditch which I used was only 2-footer. So I've just got it buried 2 foot deep, and then it's 2 foot deep where it comes under my house. And normally in Kentucky here, well, you know, our frost line, normally our winters don't get bad enough to freeze anything 2 foot deep in the ground. And another video we're going to be having is I've got this spring behind the house, and I'm going to be putting a pump on that spring and feeding it into a tank, and we're going to be fixing the pump with a float on it to feed the tank, and then a well pump with a pressure tank to feed the house. So we'll be doing away with our city water, you per se, and just solely have the spring. I think that'll be a lot better. Can I play my old Kentucky home? I'm a little rusty about that. So. Jared Diaz says, what about where it stubs up into the cabin? Doesn't it hit the air? Well, I've got it right against the footer. I busted a hole in the block, and I just got it coming in and straight up into the floor. And the line's exposed under the house, but I haven't had any trouble with it. it's only exposed under the house. But I don't know. I haven't had any problems at all. But I've backfilled around over there where it is, so it stays pretty warm under the house, seems like. I mean, not warm, but I mean, if you go under there and it's cold, you know, it don't feel like it's freezing cold. And in the wintertime, I covered up all my vents. You like to hear old school with a modern twist? He'd like to hear me sing Blue Moon of Kentucky. But if I could sing, I would sure sing it for you. But it'd have to be a cold day in January before I started singing on here. Alrighty, we'll play. My wife loves the Carter Family and Johnny Cash, and she likes this song, so we're gonna play the Wildwood Flower first. That's a little wildwood flower there. Let's see. I'll try to think of another in here. If I'm a little rusty on this guitar, I don't play the guitar a whole lot, but we talked about it, I think about 2 weeks ago in the live video, so I thought I'd break it out. Somebody was asking me about my guitar, what I had that video, and this is a Blue Ridge guitar, and it's a Carter Stanley Memorial model. And I was telling them then I saved up farmer's market money and bought this. Mike Curry says, love just how you're being who you are and nothing else, no fake in you. And I don't, I'm pretty straightforward. I just am who I am. Wherever I am, that's what I do. I don't try to be nobody I ain't. Do I know any Dillard songs? Not on the guitar. If I had the banjo, I know like Dooley and that kind of stuff. We'll try to do one here. Let's see. This is called Under the Double Eagle. If I can get it out without, you know, I'm a little rusty. Well, that's a little rusty there, but I enjoy picking for you all, and everybody seems to like it, so we'll try to do a little bit every time we can. Mike Carey says, does your wife and kids ever go live with you? They're in some of the videos. I don't know if they've been on the live yet or not. The girls was on our first live, I believe. And most of the time of the evenings, they're doing like their schoolwork and stuff, and getting everything ready for bed. So most of the time their evenings is fairly busy, but we'll try to get them in on one of the lives here soon. Swingman says, what is your primary job? Alright, I'm self-employed, I do carpentry work, and I have a little business, a little handyman business, I call it, Jared's Handyman Service. And pretty well, people call me. I don't advertise or anything. People call me, and I go and patch stuff, fix stuff, remodel, build porches, barns, buildings, doghouse, chairs. I'll build anything they need. I'm a jack of all trades. If you need a tree cut, I do about anything, but mostly carpentry work, building and fixing. Most jobs I do is stuff that like a big contractor won't come in and do because they can't make a big pile of money on it. I just do little odds and ends and carpentering. And I've been doing that I started doing it in high school, tinkering around. I started mowing grass and doing a little carpentry work. And then I went to work. I went to college for electricity and got my degree and worked for a company for a while. And I just didn't care for it that much. I mean, I liked it and good people, but I mean, once you've started working for yourself, I just always had the urge. I wanted to just be on my own and be my own boss. So I quit, and the next day I went to work doing handyman work, and I've been doing it ever since. And I mean, you ain't gonna get rich at it, but you can make a living at it. And I enjoy it, and I enjoy helping people. So that's my primary job, is a handyman. Because Lord, if you was farming for a living around here, you'd start. Well, you wouldn't starve to death, but you wouldn't have much money. Let's see. I had a gospel song worked up. Let's see. Swingman says, "Have you ever visited the Mississippi coast?" I've never been to Mississippi yet. Hopefully we're going to change that next year, and I'm going to try to get down to the Deep South Homestead gathering. But I've been to Florida, and Georgia, and North Carolina, and Alabama. But I don't think I ever did cross over into Mississippi. Nell says, "Do you have a banjo? Would love to hear a tune." Now, I normally have my banjo in here with me, but I've got it on through the house right now, or I would sure pick you a tune. But if you come back next week, Monday night at 7:30, well, I'll have the banjo out first thing. And I've still been practicing on my fiddle for y'all. My guitar's a little bit out of whack on me. But look forward to the banjo. You know, I love playing the banjo, and as long as y'all like me playing a little music in these videos, we'll keep on doing it. I'll try that song one more time, "What a Friend We Have in Jesus." It's one of my favorite tunes on the fiddle and the banjo and guitar, but I'm a little rusty on the guitar. I'm a little rusty. I hate I'm live and being rusty on y'all. And we appreciate all of y'all. You got anybody think of any more questions or anything? We've been on here a little over an hour, so we'll try to cover what little bit more we can before we have to get off of here. It's about my bedtime. So, anybody got anything else before we get ready to sign out and stuff? Hello from Clinton, Tennessee. Hello there. And to touch on what a couple of y'all have said about, now on our channel I try to do a variety of things, and I ain't gonna sit on here every video, and talk trash about other channels and talk about people, and I ain't gonna, preach to everybody about everything all the time, doomsday and stuff. I just try to share with you some things I do, some things I know, some things I'm learning, and we just have fun along the way. So that's what, if you come to our channel here, that's about what you're going to expect. Just a little bit of this and that on the homestead. But if anybody ain't got no more questions, well, I'm going to go ahead and sign out. And it's been a pleasure having y'all on here tonight. And we hope you can tune in this week. I'll have some more videos coming up. And hopefully y'all can come back next Monday night at 7:30. And we'll do it again, Lord willing, and the creeks don't rise. So we're going to lock the door and put out the cat. We're shutting down. Y'all have a very blessed evening.